Alright, so the question is the bull market over for Ethereum? Now, I'm recording this in March of 2025, but you might be listening at a different time, and to be honest, the situation could be pretty similar. What we've seen is we've seen ETH kind of just against both the US dollar and also against Bitcoin, just slowly bleed value all this time. And at the time of speaking, it's now worth pretty much the same as what it was not long ago in terms of a few years ago. So this is not looking good. Is the bull market over? I think a lot of people really are asking, did it ever start? At least recently, at least in this cycle, it never really did. There was a small end of 2024 after Trump won the election. There was a small pump in altcoins. I don't know if you'd call that an altcoin bull market because it was so short-lived. That was basically it. It didn't really change the long-term trend. Look, I have a theory now about altcoins. So a lot of people are used, when it comes to trading anything financial or investing, that it will just keep going up and up and up. We see this with particularly companies, because if you own stocks, you actually own a share of the company. If they go bankrupt, you actually have a claim on the assets of the company. And successful companies grow and grow. They grow their assets, they grow their worth, because they take the profits that they make and they reinvest it to grow even bigger, and they share some of those profits too in the form of dividends to shareholders. Crypto doesn't work like that. That's the thing, right? A lot of people think crypto is destined to go up. There's only one crypto that's destined to go up in my view, and that is Bitcoin, because it's a store of wealth, and that won't go up forever. One day it will be ubiquitous as gold. It will be well known about. Many people will have crossed paths with Bitcoin. It will be used widely, and at that point it will barely go up at all. Although it has a fixed supply, there will be no new Bitcoins created at some point, and at that point Bitcoins will get lost like coins down the back of the sofa. So it will slowly increase. When that point is reached, that'll be in the next century. Now, until then, it'll just go up because the adoption is going up, because it's not widespread yet, because more and more people are, first they hear about it, and they find out more about it, then they or company that they work with or whatever, governments, more and more people, I say people, start to use it. I mean like individuals or groups or companies or governments. And while that is happening, the adoption is ongoing. It will grow in value. Now, I hate to break it to you, but Ethereum and other coins, I don't think they're destined to just go up in value like Bitcoin or like a company. Because when you hold ETH, you don't hold a share in any company, you don't hold any claim on any assets, there's no money being reinvested into anything that should inflate the value of what you hold. In all crypto, including Ethereum, at the very minimum, your coins are usually just like a governance coin. They give you maybe a voting rights or something like that. Maybe even more, like in the case of Ethereum, they're used to pay fees or for some other type of utility that's involved with what the crypto does. That's about as good as it gets, including Ethereum. They're not used for anything else, these coins. The adoption, so I know what you're thinking now. You may be thinking, well, we've got some adoption to go. So here's the way I look at it. I think Ethereum is the best crypto after Bitcoin. I love Ethereum. I use Ethereum. It's the best smart chain contract crypto out there. There are other pretenders to the throne. Solana's kind of up and coming, but it's not as secure, even though it's kind of sort of scales better in the sense on level 1 it can do more transactions, but of course Ethereum has got lots of layer 2s. Although layer 2 ecosystem is frankly, it's a bit of a mess, I think a lot of people would admit, but nevertheless Ethereum has the most developers, it has the most development activity, it has the most value that's locked under in its DeFi ecosystem. TVL, total value locked, is the most under Ethereum compared to any other coin. However, I don't think I don't agree with people who say Ethereum is going to destroy the banking industry and that the total value locked one day will overtake the banking industry, traditional finance, that DeFi will dominate over TradFi. I just don't believe that. I see every year that DeFi is growing, and that's great for those people who want to use it. But I don't see any need. The average person's not telling me that DeFi is better than TradFi. They're quite happy trusting in banks. They got no problem having these trusted intermediaries. And, I just don't see DeFi taking over from TradFi. I think it's a great idea. I think it will keep growing. I hope it keeps growing. But I do think it has a limit or it will just never outgrow the TradFi system. So therefore, in that sense, because that's the biggest use case of Ethereum. And let's face it, all the other so-called use cases of Ethereum, none of them compare to DeFi. Basically, no one's figured out another use case for Ethereum apart from DeFi. I just don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. No, maybe it'll happen, right? Maybe someone will take advantage of a smart contract chain and come up with some amazing innovation, and it will be there not only on Ethereum, but you would expect it to also be on the other smart contract coins as well. But where is it, right? We've had DeFi for quite a while now. Where's this new innovation? I haven't seen it. The only innovations I'm seeing in crypto space are the original one, which was to be able to send currency from one account to another, so-called peer-to-peer transactions. But really, that kind of matured into store of wealth because it's not really very good for doing at the micro level. And then we had Ethereum with DeFi, and that's the innovation, and it's great innovation, and it's groundbreaking innovation. But I don't see anything else, and I also think that DeFi will never overtake the TradFi system. Someone can. I think that Bitcoin digital gold will probably overtake regular gold. Well, I don't see DeFi overtaking TradFi, and so for that reason, I don't think there'll be a bull market in Ethereum. I think there was one a long time ago, and I think what happens with anything other than Bitcoin is it just oscillates. It pumps super early, and then it just oscillates up and down. But it might break ETH 2 or 3 times early on, and after that, it never breaks it again, and that's where I see ETH right now. And if you look at something like XRP, XRP is similar, right? It pumped super early, very early on, before most people even knew about it. And now it kind of looks like it basically has a major pump once every 4 years. It might have a smaller pump in between, a few smaller pumps. But the major pump basically is about once every 4 years. And I see that bleeding again for another 3 years. And I think Ethereum actually does the same thing. Not necessarily once every 4 years, but it's much slower to pump, and it's pretty slow to bleed. I mean, look at it. It's been bleeding for what? I can't remember exactly, but pretty sure it's like 2 or 3 years. So, if you're going to be into, for me, they're all oscillators except for Bitcoin. And if you want to be into an oscillator, choose something that pumps harder and faster. Of course, you've got to get out of it more quickly. It will bleed more quickly. But to me, I would rather be an XRP than Ethereum. Although the only thing right now is XRP hasn't bled out fully. It pumped recently. It'll take a long time to get to rock bottom again. Whereas ETH is pretty much almost a rock bottom. So in that sense, if you want quicker timing, you want the opportunity to come more sooner rather than later, then Ethereum will be a good bet. But of course, its pump is not going to be over the space of a handful of days or very low number of weeks in the same way that XRP's pump was. A pump for ETH, a bull run for ETH is going to take probably, I don't know, a bit longer, weeks and maybe into low number of months. Now you might prefer that, right? It's a bit more easy to time potentially. But in my opinion, after that bull run, it's just going to slowly bleed again. That's okay if you're trading, but don't expect it to be something that you can. Is going to be a pension for you, and you'll invest in it for multiple decades. It's, in my opinion, it's just an oscillator. So, if you don't agree with me, take a look at the chart. That's what it kind of looks like now. So let me know what you think, and if you enjoyed this discussion, and have an open mind, give it a like, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.